Okay.
Hi, this is Jackie Grant. This is the Change and Grow Wellness Show, the show for you, the busy professional who wants to live a healthier, happier life with increased energy and productivity. And this show is powered by the amazing Women and Men of Power Positive Network program. And I'm your host, Jackie Grant, and I transform busy female professionals, hormones and habits without giving up chocolate and wine, calorie counting, or spending all your time in the gym. And today our show is on how to change your diet to improve symptoms of perimenopause. And we've got Rebecca, who is a nutritional therapist and hormone mentor. And she works with women who want to balance their hormones naturally through food so that they can kickstart their healthy lifestyle on hormone health naturally. So welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks for having me on.
That's great. So, Rebecca, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you decide to work with women with hormone imbalances.
Well, it's my own background. So I didn't go to university when I was in my 20s and do nutrition. It's something that I sort of fell into and decided to do after I'd had my own children. So I worked in corporate world for 15 years, and after I had my children, my hormones were all over the place and I really struggled. And I've never been one for wanting to take medication or going down that sort of route, and I wasn't getting any help from my doctors anyway. So I started looking at how I could make some changes myself to try and do it naturally, and that from then on was something that just sparked an interest because it had made such a big difference to my own life. I was really on my knees, had no energy, my moods were all over the place. I just wasn't functioning very well at all. And just by making some initial tweaks, I started to feel a little bit better. And then as I looked into it more and made some real changes and started to improve my diet, which was pretty terrible before, it made such a big difference to my own life and how I was able to live it, my work, my relationships, that it was something that really sparked an interest. So that was when I went back. It was about 5 years ago now. I went back to do a postgraduate diploma in nutritional therapy, and because the hormone thing was where it had gone from, that was kind of where I decided to specialise.
Brilliant, that's great. So I know you've told us about some of the struggles that you have, but what are the struggles that you've found with some of your clients come to you around perimenopause?
So a lot of the struggles that they're having is things like brain fogs, where they're not able to remember things, weight gain around the middle without actually making any changes to the diet, and they're wondering why it's happening to them and what they can do about it. Hot flushes obviously feature a lot. Things like sleep issues, which are causing a lot of problems because it has such a knock-on effect on the rest of your life. More severe PMS, just generally not feeling themselves. What I say is, it doesn't just affect you physically, it affects you emotionally and mentally as well. And that often can be the bigger thing because they just don't feel like themselves anymore and they're sort of lacking in confidence.
So have you found that some of your clients have gone to the doctor with these symptoms, and what have you found that people have come back and said to you?
Most people have been to the doctors because a lot of them don't realise that it can start as early as it does. So I tend to get people that are more in their mid 40s to early 50s that tend to come to work with me. And I don't think at that particular stage that women are aware that it starts that early. But the perimenopause, the stage where your body is actually starting to change, your hormones decline, can actually go on for up to 10 years. Now, obviously, the symptoms aren't as severe necessarily for 10 years. It can be a bit of a slow change. But they don't really understand what's going on with them. So they often start with a trip to the doctors, and they're often offered either no help at all, and they're told that it can't be, and they're just tired because the mums, often get a lot of mums, or they're just generally feeling a bit stressed, or they're offered the HRT option or even the pill. Or if it's a mood issue, which is very common, it can be antidepressants. Now, the kind of women that come to work with me generally have decided that they don't want to go down that route, whether that is just a personal choice or it's because they're not actually able to take those kind of things because of family history or other medical conditions that they've got going on. So really, food and lifestyle changes are kind of the only choice that they're wanting to make, and they don't really understand what they need to do to make those changes.
So what type of tests or anything do you do to like support people in understanding what they're actually going through in terms of the changes of progesterone, estrogen and stuff like that?
It depends. I don't always do hormone testing. It's up to the client whether they want to go down that route or not. A lot of the time, the symptoms do tell a story. If people want to go more in depth, then there are hormone tests that you can do to look at your estrogen, your progesterone levels, looking at your thyroid, because that's often affected a lot as you go past your 40s. Your hormone level, your thyroid levels can decline, and that can cause issues in itself. Also looking at cortisol and DHEA and all of the different stress hormones and how that's affecting you, because stress is such a massive thing. And when you feel stressed, it blocks a lot of your other hormones. So often that can be the underlying cause of why you're experiencing the symptoms as badly as you are. So when I'm looking at clients, I'm looking at all of those different things, not just the one thing. And I'm also looking at how they are actually reacting, how their body is producing hormones, how it's using them throughout your cycle rather than just one particular point. So obviously you have a roughly 28-day menstrual cycle, and your hormones should be high and low at different points. So the test can look at that as well. We also look at cortisol. We're looking at, is your body releasing cortisol in the pattern that it's meant to, because that can affect your sleep quite a lot. If it's high at night, very difficult to get to sleep. If it's low in the morning, it's difficult to get yourself out of bed and get going. So all of those different things are looked at.
Good. Okay, so what, say, two nutritional strategies would you give someone that might be struggling with their sleep?
So if it was sleep, I would look at, what kind of things are they eating more in the evenings? Are they making sure that they're eating regularly? Are they eating a lot of sugar? Are they having caffeine, alcohol, all sorts of stimulants which can make you feel more alert, more awake at night? Also look at their blood sugar balance, because if your blood sugar levels are not balanced, then it can wake you up at night. So if you're someone that is finding it fairly easy to get to sleep, but you're actually in the middle of the night, you're waking up, that could be a sign that your glucose levels are out of whack, and you need to look at those. So when you're thinking about blood sugar levels, looking at making sure that your diet is full of whole foods, that you're not eating white refined carbs and lots of sugar, which will shoot those blood sugar levels up, trying to keep that release of insulin quite consistent throughout the day. So things like complex carbohydrates instead of the white refined carbs, making sure you're having protein and healthy fats, that you're eating on a regular basis and not skipping meals. Nothing really complex, quite simple things that we should be doing anyway for many other health conditions. But that is where I would start. And for sleep as well, things like particular nutrients, magnesium is a big one, making sure that your magnesium levels are good, because it's nature's natural tranquilizer. So it helps to calm you and it helps to promote sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, all the things I would have said, Rebecca. But also making sure their water as well, making sure that they're getting
water is important.
Wet day, because that's the thing that people kind of forget, is about the water. So yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, so I often hear like a lot of my clients saying that they have night sweats and they find it really difficult. In the night they have to get up, change their PJs, change their bed sheets and stuff like that. I mean, I know you said quite a few nutritional things that could help people, but what other things could possibly help in terms of night sweats?
So for night sweats, I'd be looking at their estrogen levels, because that is basically a sign that their estrogen levels have declined. Night sweats usually come from that, and hot flushes as well. So I'd be looking at, making sure that your estrogen levels are balanced, trying to increase those. So maybe introducing some natural phytoestrogens into your diet. An easy way to do that is through things like seeds. So flax seeds are a really good one. They're also really great for lots of other things as well. Helping to balance out your estrogen levels is one of the main ones. So having even just 1 to 2 tablespoons a day of flax seeds can help to increase those estrogen levels. Also looking at, introducing some soy, and I don't mean the processed soy milks and yogurts and things. I mean more like tempeh tofu and soya beans, those kind of more natural things, because they naturally increase your estrogen levels. And what the phytoestrogen does is sort of mimic estrogen in your body. So it it basically helps your body to recognize that it's got more estrogen there, and it helps to reduce the symptoms. So for night sweats, I would look at that. I would also look at sort of sleep environment. So, you know, what's the temperature of your room like? What kind of covers have you got on? Are they more natural, what you're wearing, the kind of products that you're using, whether or not the kind of products you're using on your skin are affecting you, and those kind of things as well. So I take a very holistic approach. It's not just about diet, but also about the lifestyle types of things as well.
And their environment. So that's brilliant. And you know, a lot of people like find it quite difficult to, you know, start changing their diet in such a way, because they may be in, you know, loads of sugar, like you said, and, you know, or processed foods, you know. So just to kind of give people a kind of understanding about how you would start working with someone step by step.
Okay, yeah, so no, I would always start small. Small steps make sustainable long-term changes. So for me, it's about trying first and foremost to cut back on a few of the things that might be making the biggest difference. So caffeine, one of the first ones. Now, I know that's a really difficult one because, let's face it, coffee tastes nice and we all really like it, and we have a coffee culture. So it isn't necessarily about cutting out completely, but cutting back on it. And I always start off saying, you know, just alternate. Try having, if you're having a cup of coffee, the next time you have a drink, have a herbal drink or have a glass of water, so that you're gradually reducing them down. And of course, the same with sugar, just trying to cut back. Don't try and cut everything out at once, because if you do that, not only will you get side effects where you feel really, really bad, but you will feel deprived and you'll feel like overwhelmed by it. You're not going to stick to it in the long term. So start small. And just doing things like introducing more green leafy vegetables into your diet, eating more protein, having more sort of, whether it's meat, fish, eggs, or more plant-based ones, which are great for hormones. So thinking about beans and pulses and nuts and seeds, you know, just try doing a couple of meals a week where you're introducing more of those kind of things. And, you know, as you find something becomes a habit, that's the stage to start to introduce something else.
Exactly. That's brilliant. So Rebecca, do you want to give us a little case study of, you know, someone, so that our kind of audience can get a kind of feel about how you would actually work with someone? Just give us, like, you know, an overview of what the person presented with when they came, what changes that you know, got them to change, and then, you know, the end result. That'd be great.
Yeah, so I worked with a lady last year who came to me because although she was eating well, she felt like she was eating well and she exercised quite a lot. She wasn't really seeing the changes in her body that she wanted, and she recognised that she wasn't thinking as clearly, her energy levels were quite low, and she was really gaining quite a bit of weight when she was actively trying to count calories and go to the gym a lot, and she wasn't seeing the changes. So the things that we looked at first and foremost were, you know, what was she eating? What were her portion sizes like? So I always get people initially to keep a food diary so that I can see, you know, first and foremost, what is it that you're currently eating? Are you not necessarily recognizing that some of the things that you are eating are not really making the biggest difference? Are your carb portion size is too big? You're not getting enough protein and healthy fats? So we looked at that and realized that really it was the combination of the kind of foods that she was having, which were a little bit out. She wasn't having enough vegetables and fruit. She was eating quite big portions of carbohydrates, which is really common because we do kind of tend to base our meal around that rather than basing it around the protein and having the carbs as a side portion. I don't advocate taking them out completely, but getting that balance right is quite important, and thinking of it as a side thing and having plenty of vegetables to bulk out your meal is always a big part of what I do. And we looked at making sure she was having more healthy fats because the brain fog was quite bad for her. She wasn't able to think clearly, and healthy fats are really important for the brain. So we introduced things like avocado, nuts and seeds, using different types of oils like coconut and olive oil, oily fish, those kind of things. And we also looked at, you know, the stress levels in her life. She had had quite a stressful life. She'd lost her husband, and she was moving house. She'd got quite a lot, that kind of thing going on. She wasn't taking time for herself. her time was going to the gym and doing quite heavy cardio, and that was putting more stress on her body rather than actually being beneficial to her. So we looked at making sure that she was taking more care of herself. We also looked at the types of exercise that she was doing and looking at more strength-based training and yoga and things that helped to calm her while building muscle, and finding something that she enjoyed was really important. She actually did enjoy doing the high impact stuff. She liked the classes. So the sort of friendships that she'd made from it. So not cutting that out, but just rethinking things. A lot of the time, it isn't necessarily massive changes. It's more tweaks.
Yes.
And also just making sure you're getting more nutrients in your diet. You know, the phytoestrogens, we made sure that she was getting, you know, magnesium from green leafy vegetables. She was making sure that she took the time to eat because she had a busy life. And it's easy to skip a meal, whether it's breakfast or lunch. Those tend to be the ones working through lunch, or just running out the door, not getting breakfast, or grabbing just a slice of toast. So how you start the day really matters. So for her, it was all about just getting those sort of consistent changes. And by the end of it, you know, after about 6 weeks, she was down 10 pounds. And she found it very easy to do. It was sort of naturally came off without it being forced. Her brain felt a lot better. She just felt much clearer, and she had more energy. So those are the kind of things that I tend to work on, and the differences that I tend to see with people. And it can happen quite quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Good. That's brilliant. So Rebecca, it's been really great having you on. So can you tell us tips that you'd like to give our viewers, audience?
Sorry, I didn't hear that properly. It just cut out. Some tips.
Final tips from you.
So, like you mentioned earlier, drink lots of water. Water makes a massive difference. Your body goes into a sort of stress if you're not giving it the levels of water that it needs and drinking plenty. And caffeine actually is a dehydratant. So even if you're drinking lots of cups of tea and coffee, it's still not providing your body with the fluid that it needs. So that's one of the first things that I do. Think about how much stimulants you're having: caffeine, sugar, alcohol. Don't necessarily have to cut it out completely. That's not what I'm saying, but do be honest with yourself about how much you're having. And, you know, think about how you are setting up your meal. So if you are having a meal, think first and foremost what your protein source is going to be. That's the main part of it, and build the meal around that. So for example, if you were having some chicken or fish, you have that as the main part of the meal, and then you'd have a small bit of fat portion with it, and you'd have maybe a fist-sized portion of carbohydrates and plenty of vegetables, rather than it being a big plate of rice pasta with a little bit of protein put on the top.
Brilliant, that's brilliant. Thanks, Rebecca. So, Rebecca, where can people find you?
You can find me on my Facebook page. I'm on there on a sort of daily basis, or over at Rebecca Bolton at the Hormone Mentor. And you can also find me on my website. It's www.rebeccabolton.com, and it's Bolton with a U, which confuses people. But I'm sure if you Google me, you'll find me quite easily. This is a bit of an unusual name, so there's not that many of us. And those are the two main places that I tend to hang out. I'm also on LinkedIn if you want to come across and connect.
Brilliant. And Rebecca, have you got any freebies or anything on your website that people can capture when they get there?
Yeah, on my website, I have a hormone symptom checker, which people can download. And that's basically just a questionnaire for you to find out exactly which one of the hormones, of your hormones, it might be that is causing the issue, because it isn't the same for every woman. It's different. Some people it's progesterone, some people it's estrogen, some people it's cortisol. And figuring that out can be really important in starting to make those changes and the kind of changes that you want to do. So you can get that in that guide, and it'll give you an idea of exactly which your symptoms are indicating, which of the hormones it is.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. It's been really informative. It's been great, and I'm sure some people have got some real good tips that they can take away today and start to build into their lifestyle. So thank you very much for being on today. So guys, I will see you soon. You can find this, if you are not able to watch this, it's going to be on my podcast over on iTunes, which is Change and Grow Wellness Show. So you can go over and see this, which I'll be putting up soon, and also all the other ones that I've put up recently. So take care, have a great day, and I will see you soon.